Welcome to Fresh Cut by Ganjapreneur, where we get straight to the source and interview the real people on the ground making this industry great. I'm Cara Wietstock, your host and the culture editor at Ganjapreneur. Today we are lucky to welcome Rebecca Colett, CEO of Calyxeum cannabis brand based in Detroit, Michigan, and founder of the Detroit Cannabis Project. She has been a major champion for minority inclusion in the industry, lobbying for veteran access to cannabis, and a champion for workforce development. And I want to just jump right in and ask you, Rebecca, how did you get involved with cannabis? And when did you shift into Calyxeum from advocacy and lobbying?
Yes. Hello. First,
Hi.
I just want to say thank you for having me, and thank you for the opportunity to tell more about what we're doing here in Michigan. So why cannabis? I started in cannabis really for medical reasons. I used cannabis for my own anxiety, just being in corporate America, using cannabis as a healthy alternative to deal with pressures of work. Being a woman in the workplace, that's a lot of pressure, being a woman in the world. So I used cannabis personally, but then also my dad was a veteran, and he was really sick in his kind of last years, and we really started researching some alternative medicines that weren't opioids, because he was on so many medications from the VA, and we just wanted a better alternative, if you will. So I just started researching cannabis and started seeing all the medicinal benefits and all the different ways you can consume it. But then I also noticed how hard it was to get access to a plant, which I thought was absolutely absurd. So I just started becoming really passionate about being an advocate for those that were underrepresented at the tables, at the capitals, the people that were really underrepresented, the minorities, and the veterans. So yeah, and transitioning from advocacy and lobbying work really kind of came from lobbying and consulting with all these different brands across the country, but none of them really looked like me, or maybe they had a couple of minority faces, but they worked in a facility, but they weren't a part of the leadership. They weren't executives. And I really started to believe that if this industry really was going to change for the better, become more diverse, then minorities need to be in executive positions. Minorities need to own these licenses. They need to be in the C-suite. So since I saw nothing like us, I decided to create us, and that's what birthed Calyxeum. Calyxeum is a cultivation and processing brand based in the Metro Detroit area, and we're really excited to be providing high quality medicine to Michiganders and those who travel to Michigan.
Absolutely. I didn't mean to gloss over too, because you came out of a pretty prolific tech and business career into cannabis. So you're used to being kind of a spearhead in an industry that's dominated by mostly white men. Speaking of tech,
yes, exactly.
Didn't mean to spring that on you, but so you spoke about helping people in other states. I know you helped people with licensing, and it can look super different from state to state. So how did that kind of help you and your partner Latoya transition into Calyxeum in Michigan?
So really the thing with Michigan is, the helpful thing was that Latoya and I are both from Michigan, and the cannabis industry is very political, like a lot of industries, but in cannabis, for some reason, it's very political. It's all about who you know. So we really use a lot of relationships that we've been cultivating our whole lives, of people that we've known when we were in grade school and high school here. We've been connecting with all throughout this kind of license and building our business process. So it's really been just connecting with the community. That's another thing that's very important in the cannabis industry, is being politically connected, but being also connected to the community. The community should want you in their neighborhood, should know about you. So we've been very engaged with the local community, our local block clubs, local churches, and really educating them on legal cannabis and just in general, the medicinal benefits, the economic impacts, the job opportunities, but also educating them about the huge impact a brand like ours could bring to their neighborhood, how many jobs we could bring to their neighborhood, and for how so many years cannabis and marijuana has been criminalized and stigmatized in communities of color. But now we're coming back into these very communities that we're from and kind of re-educating people. So it's been very unique, the Michigan landscape. Michigan has been doing cannabis for a while. My partner has been a caregiver for 10 years, and I've been a caregiver for several years. And so the Michigan market is very, I don't want to call it ancient, but I think we're right after California in regards to how many years we've really been growing, cultivating, processing. So there's a lot of untapped talent in Michigan. And with that, our products are awesome, very high quality products. So it's just really exciting to be in the Michigan market, because I think now everybody in the cannabis industry are now starting to wake up to Michigan, like, oh, Michigan, what are they doing over there in the Midwest? So we're just excited about being a part of kind of like the uprising of the Michigan cannabis industry. I think we're at a point now where we are going to become world known as a cannabis market, just like California and Colorado and Washington State are known. Michigan will be in those ranks.
Oh, thanks for mentioning Washington. We're sort of hidden up here.
Yes.
We do our own thing, like tucked in this little corner. But so have you known Latoya a long time? How did you partner with Latoya, and what inspired you to launch Calyxeum in the form that it's in today?
Yeah, that's a good question. So actually, when I was doing a lot of like advocacy work in Michigan, like 4 or 5 different people, after they talked to me and found out kind of what my mission and goals were, everybody kept saying, you need to meet this girl, Latoya. You need to meet this girl, Latoya. And I'm like, you're like the 3rd, you're like the 4th, you're like the 5th person that has told me about this woman. Somebody needs to introduce me. So eventually, like the 5th person was a good mutual friend between her and I, and introduced us like on a group text message or email or something like that. And we met. And what's unique about the cannabis industry is that sometimes you run into people that aren't the greatest. The cannabis industry is full of... That's a real
nice way to put it.
I was trying to think about a nice way to put it. So I have had my fair share of run-ins with people who just don't have the same goals as me, and we just don't see eye to eye. And that's okay, but I choose not to work with them. But when I met Latoya, we kind of talked about our vision and mission for building a cannabis company. It was right in line, and we have a lot of complementary skills. I tell people we kind of fit together like a puzzle. I do these things and she does these things, and we meet in the middle. So it really has worked out very well because our vision and mission of building a cannabis company was the same. We knew that minority leadership had to be the forefront of our brand, and we knew that education and community had to be the forefront of our brand. We didn't want community or education to be an afterthought, like, oh, now we're making all this money, now we can educate and give back to the community. We very much wanted to do both of those things from day one, and we have been. So it's been great.
It's I've enjoyed watching you launch your new flower and sell out real quick on Instagram.
Yeah.
You started with edibles and concentrates and topicals, correct? And have slowly transitioned into flower. What has been the biggest challenge evolving your product line? Or what's that experience like even?
Man, I think it's a unique time because it's still COVID. I know a lot of people on Instagram and stuff are out here like it's not COVID, but
I know,
these shipping delays, these shipping delays are still a real thing. So we have just had to be very patient and like shipping times and getting our packaging because they'll promise us a certain time, but it's really a week later. So What's really been challenging is managing the whole supply chain. That's something that's new for us because now there are more hands in the basket, if we will. Mm-hmm. We have to make sure the transporter is on time. We have to make sure the processor, the retailer, everything is in metric right. It's just a very long process from growing the weed to selling the weed. and that in between, you have to get people to work together in a time where things are delayed, and then also in a time where people are stretched because it's still a pandemic and a lot of people may be still homeschooling their kids and doing a full-time job. So it's just been very challenging, but one thing I've learned is patience, and just buffering the time. So the supply chain has just been very new and just a learning experience to really see all the steps in the seed to sale process. Because before being wholesale, we didn't have to worry about packaging, weighing things. Really, we didn't have to really worry about that. Now, packaging is a whole ordeal. Wow, it is amazing. So it's just been a great learning experience because now I can share a lot of wisdom and a lot of mistakes that we made with a lot of people that look like me. Because the thing about it in the cannabis industry is that a lot of times there's not a blueprint like it is when you become a doctor or an accountant or whatever. So you have to look for mentors or peers that can give you advice or wisdom from, this is when this scenario happened to me and this is how I overcame it. So I take a lot of the trials and tribulations that we go through now in our growing pains. It's kind of just like with a grain of salt, because even though it hurts me to go through these growing pains, I know I'll be able to share that wisdom with maybe another social equity owner down the line. So,
and you do just that with the Detroit Cannabis Project.
Yes.
A beautiful way to enter into that, because I'm very curious about your work with the Detroit Cannabis Project. And we've sort of touched on why you founded it, because we need more people of color in this industry. But how does this play into your brand's goals, and how did you formulate that and choose the teachers and the courses? Learning from experience is so valuable. I mean, as someone that's worked in the space, I've walked into so many grows and retail shops with no standard operating procedure. They're all just sort of doing their own thing. So yeah, I'd love to hear more about how that project was started and what your goals are to move forward, because you did have your first graduating class recently. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so the Detroit Cannabis Project is a social equity incubator, and I've been having this idea to have an incubator for years now. I've just not figured out how to do it or been in the opportunity to have the resources to do it. A huge issue for social equity applicants is access to funding, access to real estate, but really access to knowledge. Kind of what I just mentioned is the how-to, the real practical experience. So earlier this year, I kind of came up with this idea as adult use was really becoming a reality in Detroit. We've been medical for all these years, and now adult use really seems like it's going to happen. So I really was like, the time is now. The time is now, because of the issue with a lot of social equity programs is that they come too late. They come years after there's been this whole legal market and all this market share is taken by all these large MSOs. Now, how is a mom and pop shop supposed to compete with that, you know? So the time is now. Let's do it at the beginning. When the adult use market starts, the incubator should start. So I really corralled a lot of my peers. I have some members of of Calyxeum's advisory team. I have two of my own personal attorneys that are facilitators, and really just other friends that I know, operators out on the West Coast that have a kind of a different perspective, cultivators, processors, branding and marketing people. Just as I've matriculated through the cannabis industry, I've been able to identify people that have a lot of great experience that can really teach and mentor based on that subject. And I put them together in this nice kind of fashion. Our curriculum is really holistic. We really like to help all license types, because I noticed with a lot of programs, they may focus very heavy on cultivation or dispensary or whatever, but we do all license types. And then we go through start to finish. We start with the licensing process. This is how this works. We have an attorney explain that. And then we go through operations, branding and marketing, accounting, 280E, just really holistic from a business perspective. These are all the tools in your tool belt you're going to need to be successful. But then we also have, after the program is over, bi-monthly mentorship sessions with another operator. So these applicants can come in this Zoom session, very personable, and ask one-off questions, because now they're executing on their business plan. Now they're executing on their pitch. And as you're executing and getting up and operating, you're going to come across obstacles. You're going to come across questions, advice that you're going to need. And we pair our applicants with mentors. So if you want to open a dispensary, we pair you with somebody who's already done this before, who's already opened a dispensary before, etc. So it's been really exciting to partner with the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit on this initiative. And we have another cohort coming in the summer. Just really kind of excited to just see the industry blossom in Detroit and see the legacy people, the people that really have built the cannabis industry, the caregivers, the patients, really get an opportunity to take advantage of the commercial industry. So, but for them to really take advantage, they need the tools in their tool belt, if you will, to compete with these multi-million-dollar corporations. And this is what we give them, and it's free, no upselling, nothing. It's all free. So it's been pretty awesome
That
to just
sounds
watch
really
everybody's.
awesome.
Yeah, everybody's just so creative, and what you realize is that people don't lack on ideas. A lot of times they just need the access. They just need somebody to come open the door and let them in, and they can figure it out. So that's basically what we're doing. We're just letting them in. We're opening up that cannabis industry door and saying, come in, we need you guys, and this is what you need to do.
It is so nice to hear that you're pairing people with mentors after the fact too, because in other states where there is even that education and that tool belt, like you said, they're just kind of like out the door on their own. That mentorship aspect is essential to continue building.
Exactly.
You mentioned Michigan is involved, and it's completely free. So how Calyxeum is sponsoring the Cannabis Project, how does that work? And in what capacity is Michigan involved in supporting this endeavor?
Yes. So Calyxeum is sponsoring the Detroit Cannabis Project, but we also have another partner, Lantern. I can't forget them because they've been awesome partners. They're a delivery service, all tech-based, not plant touching, and they're in Michigan, Colorado, Massachusetts, and maybe another state, but they've been great partners. And we partner with the MRA social equity team. So the state of Michigan has a statewide social equity program. And through their social equity program, they offer different resources to social equity applicants. But one of the resources is education. So we're one of their education partners. So we come in and do online workshops on Zoom and talk about various topics in the cannabis business industry. I mean, so many topics to talk about. But we partner with them on their educational workshops. A lot of social equity applicants can't afford to pay an expensive cannabis consultant to do their license application or do their SOPs. So the state of Michigan's social equity program partners with resources like us to give pro bono or very, very cheap. I don't want to say cheap because cheap is such a negative, very cost-effective resources.
Yeah, I was going to say affordable, but that's awesome. And this is just one small well, it's big, but it's just one aspect of the nonprofit arm of Calyxeum. I'd love to hear more about your and Latoya's endeavors in community development and education, that you're currently undertaking? Because there's quite a few.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to do. But so we have a whole nonprofit arm. Calyxeum Catalyst is the official name. We're a 501c3. And under that, we have 4 program pillars. One of them is rebuilding a lot of the dilapidated homes and vacant lots in our neighborhood. Detroit is an urban community, like a lot of people know, and there's a lot of eyesores in the community, a lot of blight-infested areas that affect our neighbors. We have a lot of elderly neighbors. So we've taken upon ourselves to acquire a lot of that vacant land and vacant homes and rebuild them, either rebuild them to single residential homes, single family residential homes, or on the vacant lots where there's nothing happening, we're building a community garden, which is another one of our program pillars. Since we are growers ourselves, we believe we can grow more than just cannabis. We can grow tomatoes and flowers and strawberries or whatever. So we're teaching the community on how to grow their own produce in our community garden. And then we also have a workforce development program curriculum that we're rolling out in the fall. We're really passionate about encouraging minority ownership in the cannabis industry, but also not everybody wants to go after a license and be an owner. They may just want to work in the cannabis industry, but they don't know how. They need some type of certification program, some type of something, some how-to. So we're developing a workforce development curriculum that talks about different avenues in the cannabis industry, whether it's how to grow, how to trim, how to make edibles, or what is 280E, what is cannabis marketing best tips. So we're doing different courses, plant touching and non-plant touching, in our workforce development program curriculum. And then we also have an after-school program for kids during the summer. We're launching this summer a summer after-school program. One of the things the kids are going to be doing is learning how to grow. They'll be at our community garden messing with soil and seeds and all that kind of stuff. But then we do a lot of healthy living and wellness education. Cannabis is all about being well in your body and your mind. It's a part of your wellness journey. And we want to start teaching kids that at an early age. We need to start instilling this in our people at an early age, that you are what you eat. You need to eat more vegetables. You need to eat more fruit. You need to be active. So a part of our after school program is not only teaching the kids on how to garden, but we'll also be doing workouts. We're teaching them about different healthy recipes that they can start to cook. So yeah, I'm really excited about that as well.
That sounds like a fun summer camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought because I was thinking about how fun it would be to be playing in soil as a kid. So I want to hear a little bit more about Calyxeum too, about your retail partners, and is there anything specific that you look for when you're looking for a retail partner to carry your flower or products, and how you choose those stores?
Yeah. What's really important about our retail partners is that they really believe in diversity, inclusion in the cannabis industry as well, and also women inclusion. There's not a lot of women cultivators coming to them like, sell my flower, because there's not a lot of us, you know. So when we are in discussion with our retail partners, it really matters to us that they really care about what we're trying to do, not the fact that we just have some good weed. I mean, there's several different cultivators out there that have good products, but we want to be seen as a social impact brand. So when somebody signs on to become one of our retail partners, we want them to really believe in our mission as a social impact brand. Yes, the quality is there, yes, but also if I carry Calyxeum's product on my shelf, this is helping their nonprofit. This is helping them educate the community. This is helping their incubator. And our retail partners thus far, and our ones that are coming on board soon, all believe that. They all support our incubator. They all support all the community work that we do. Because what's important for a retail partner is that they market you. When somebody walks into the store, we're counting on those bud tenders. We're counting, on them to talk about us. Hey, you see this Calyxeum flower? We got this in today. oh yeah, and these women are also in the community doing community gardens and stuff like that. So that also matters to us. It also matters to us that a retail partner comes to us and say, hey, we want to carry your bomb flower, but we also want to promote your incubator. We want to promote your community garden event. So that's very important to us in just partnering with a retailer, because a lot of times we can't be in the store. So we count on them to talk highly about our product, but also about the mission behind our brand. And what we've seen, especially during the pandemic, just like in the world, there's been a lot of unrest, a lot of racial unrest. People are tired of this, sick of, inequality. And we've actually seen that in the cannabis industry. We've actually seen a lot of older cannabis consumers come into dispensaries asking for the brands that are Detroit owned, asking for the brands that are women owned, that are minority owned, because people are now caring what they do with their money. So that's become very important to us and our retailers. They want to have a brand in their store that has a story, because there's so much corporate weed out here, and the corporate weed is so boring, and sometimes not even that great either,
yep.
Mass produced.
That is a big disconnect with a lot of growers between the bud tender and the actual cultivators. Is there anything specific that you do? I mean, your story is a beautiful one. Your community involvement is fantastic, and hell yeah, women owned businesses. But is there anything that you do to educate bud tenders, or make sure sounds a little wrong, but just to ensure that they know your story and are going to tell it when you're not in front of them, in front of a customer interaction? Do you have educational materials or just FaceTime?
Yep. It may sound crazy, but when we launch in the store, I go there every single time, me or my partner, but I definitely always go. I introduce myself, because one of the things is they're always surprised. They're like, wait a minute, you're the CEO of this? Wait a minute, but you're a Black woman. Do you know that? I'm like,
do you know that?
Surprise. So they automatically are like, wait a minute, we have to support you. We never see this. We see all this corporate weed coming in here. We got to pub you. You're from our city. So that's one thing, is I go in there face to face and I introduce myself and I introduce our brand. That already builds the rapport, because a lot of these bigger cannabis brands, they're not doing that. People don't even know who the CEOs of these big brands are,
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But then also when we release new strains, we have 2 marketing materials that we always send to the stores with them. One is a flyer that talks about the actual strain, so like the effects, because people care about cannabinoids, but people really go because they have something going on. I want to sleep, or I want more energy, inflammation. So we put the effects on one flyer, and then another flyer talks all about all the community work that Calyxeum does. So you purchasing this jar helps us in these ways, and they're paired every time you get a jar, and they're all over the store too. So that's also something that we do to educate the bud tenders, but also educate the people, because we're a new brand. We're slowly but surely rolling out to more and more stores. So slowly but surely, people are starting to figure out who we are. So a lot of grassroots marketing.
Yeah, I bud tended a long time. I can't say I ever met the CEO of any cannabis brand. Yeah, in many states. So, what stores can people in Michigan find you in right now?
So right now we're partnered with Quality Roots, and we have a couple coming online that I don't even want to say yet.
Yeah, we'll wait.
because we're doing this whole like fancy launch, if you will. Cool. Yeah, but adult use is really new to us, and we really just did this test to see if people's money were where their mouth was, if you will. Like we have this cool following on social media. People are really passionate about our brand, and we wanted to do a beta test, if you will, because I came from tech, so I always say beta test, to see how would we do? Would we sell out? Would people like the quality of the flower? And the beta test went really well, better than we expected. And we have four more retail chains that we're launching in soon.
Cool. And are you working with 3 phenos on the market right now? 3 types of cannabis?
Yes, strains. Cool. Yep.
What flavors are they?
But we're also, oh yes. First we have Calyxeum Haze. It's our sativa dominant strain, a cut of Blue Dream, which is one of my favorites. But then we also have Candy Gelato. For many years in the medical and caregiver market, we were known for our gelato cut. I mean, people loved it. The effects were great. So it just only made sense that was one of our premier strains. And then we have our cut of Gorilla Glue, but we call it the glue because, why not? And that's a really creative strain. Our cut is really creative. We've been getting a lot of feedback that people have been consuming it and painting pictures and doing work and being productive and doing yoga. So
that's
very
nice.
Creative. Yes, very creative strain. And we're this summer we're rolling out a line of vegan edibles, vegan gummies. Me and my partner are vegan. And as you know, a lot of gummies have gelatin in it, which is not vegan. But we've recently, literally this week, just finished our formulation for our vegan gummies, and we're releasing 2 flavors, Calyxeum Orange and Purple, really because those are our color. So Calyxeum Peach and then Calyxeum Blueberry Grape.
That's so exciting. As someone who is looking for vegan edibles, it's like, oh, I guess I'll have another sugary beverage in Washington. So.
Exactly.
Vegan gummies, heck yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Is Calyxeum looking for investors? Are you fully funded through your sales? If someone does want to get involved in Calyxeum, is there space for people to do so?
Yeah, so very thankfully, I can say we have successfully raised all the money that we need.
Nice.
So I'm just very, it's just even funny to even say that because it's just been such a challenging journey. But we do have a couple of options open for people that are interested in debt investment in our company. But in regards to equity investment, we've successfully completed that. We've gotten all the money and resources that we need. So we're very thankful. Because we started fundraising in the middle of a pandemic. Literally, the pandemic started, I don't know, at the end of March, and our fundraising campaign started the first week of April last year, 2020. So,
oh my gosh.
I mean, I mean, it was crazy because I'm like, well, yeah, let's just launch it. Let's still just launch it. This is only going to last a month, right? This pandemic, it's just going to last a month, maybe 2.
Oh, remember the days.
But we are looking for different partners, different expansion partners. We do have plans on expanding out of Michigan one day, so we're still looking for those type of partners. But fundraising during the pandemic has been very entertaining. I'll use that word. Very entertaining.
My dad always said, if you've got a big to-do list, you should do the hardest thing first, and then everything else will feel easy. And I feel like you all have that. You're doing that for sure. You fundraise, figure out a supply chain, and it's going to feel like you're running on a treadmill going super fast once this all kind of lightens up. Well, I guess what I'd like to know is just what's in store for the future. Is there a state you have in mind that you'd love to expand into first? Is there something new with the Detroit Cannabis Project that's going to launch in the next cohort? What's in store for you and the brands that you founded going forward?
Yeah, a lot actually. So
I'm not surprised.
The Detroit, the to-do list. The Detroit Cannabis Project, I'm really excited about that second cohort because we'll be partnering with the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan again. So that cohort will, I think, be even bigger in regards to the amount of applicants, but it's kind of cool because we can use technology, so we can really have as many people as we care to on Zoom, you know. So I'm really excited about that second cohort. But with our first cohort, we're getting ready to record their last kind of investment pitches and send it out to our network of cannabis investors that we know. So I'm really excited about starting to. I feel like a lot of these social equity entrepreneurs are now ready to talk to an investor because they have to get ready first. I'm not going to send them out there looking crazy. So they're ready now. They're all buttoned up and polished. And now they're ready to go out there and ask for an investment. They can talk about their valuation. They can talk about construction costs, operation procedures, all this kind of stuff. And I'm really excited about them getting to this point and being able to be that liaison between somebody that's looking to invest and somebody that needs investment. So I'm really excited about connecting them to funds so they can start their business, buy their buildings, get their licenses and all the stuff they need to do. And then with our nonprofit, I'm excited about that because this summer is really where we're launching like the majority of our programs, starting off with the launch of our community garden. And we're really excited about actually having something tangible in the community that people can touch and see, because we've been doing a lot of community work, but a lot of that stuff is oftentimes behind the scenes. But this community garden, people can drive by and really benefit from it every day. And I'm just really excited about that. And then we've just finished acquiring the rest of the land we need to build the community space. So for that workforce development program and the after school program I was talking about, the thing about urban communities such as Detroit is that there's not a lot of safe space to gather, you know? So if you were a kid and you wanted to go to a class in your neighborhood, like at a rec center. In our neighborhood, we have no rec centers. We have no community centers. There's nothing. So we're actually using some of the vacant land to put shipping containers on top of and renovate those so we can have community space. So when we have these classes, you can come to a class right in your community. You don't have to go downtown. You don't have to go to the suburbs. You can go right down the street and come to a class about how to grow weed. Etc. So we're really excited about that because we're starting construction this summer on that community space so people can have spaces to safely gather in their own neighborhood, which is huge. So I'm really excited about that upcoming. And then with Calyxeum, the brand, we're launching in more stores, and that's exciting too, across Michigan. So right now we're in the Metro Detroit area, but we're launching outside of the Metro Detroit area this summer. So it's going to be really exciting to see our brand in 2 hours away, 3 hours away, that's going to be really exciting too. So we're really excited about launching into more stores, but then also launching the other strains and products that we have in our roadmap, like our edibles. We have a topical line that we're finna launch too. And then we have 3 more strains we're finna launch too that people are gonna love. High quality, beautiful craft cannabis, not mass manufactured, no pesticides, none of that. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited about people benefiting from our medicine, our community programs, our incubator. So as the world opens up, we're kind of kicking it into triple gear now. So.
Yep. It sounds like it. I'm so excited to check in the fall and hear about all of these endeavors in the community too, and see how that goes.
Yes.
I didn't touch on it, and I'd like to just know about your grow mediums and how you're growing your cannabis. I kind of snuck that in at the end there, but I am curious.
Yes. So we're a cocoa shop. Even as caregivers, that was something that my partner was always passionate about. And as I kind of saw different grows, I'm like, I think we'll stick with the cocoa too. So we're a cocoa shop, hydroponic. Really kind of craft cannabis, smaller batches, but more frequently. We've realized that that's the best way to maintain the highest quality, because that's always been important for us as we transition from the medical market. In the medical market, you cannot compromise on quality because people are taking this as medicine. You cannot compromise. And so we take our same beliefs into the adult use market. We don't believe in compromising on quality or using this type of nutrient now because it's cheaper, or some type of spray color or odor because it's cheaper to do that. We don't do any of those type of compromises. So a lot of small batches, just frequently harvesting every 3 weeks.
Nice. Well,
yeah,
that kind of concludes my questions, but I think one of the most important things to ask is like where online can people find Calyxeum? Do you want to plug any websites or socials so that people can get in touch and keep up with all the good work that y'all are doing?
Yes, of course. So our brand website is www.calyxeum.com, and Calyxeum is spelled Calyxeum. And the uniques, a lot of people always ask me, what does that word even mean? What Calyxeum? Why is your brand not called Weed 420 Inc? You know? And so Calyxeum is derived from the calyx, which is the medicine producing part of the cannabis plant, but also it's female. So I think that's something that these guys out here need to know, is that the part of the cannabis plant that produces the medicine is female. So when we were doing the brand development for our line, we really came up with this name because first, this is where the medicine comes from. Second, we're female owned and operated. So there you go, Calyxeum. So Calyxeum is a derivative of the calyx. So Calyxeum.com. Then we also have a consulting arm where we do consulting with other social equity applicants, mostly helping them through their license application process, SOPs, teaching them cultivation, standard operating procedures. We've helped a couple of applicants do like kind of like their site plan, giving them some opinions on how to design their cultivation facility or their processing facility. So that's CalyxeumConsulting.com. And then the Detroit Cannabis Project.com is how you can find our incubator, apply for future cohorts, or see some info on our past cohorts. And then CalyxeumCatalyst.com is our .org is our nonprofit. So CalyxeumCatalyst.org is all our community work, what we do in the community. And on Instagram at Calyxeum_Detroit. We're on all social media outlets, but we're really active on Instagram. We really like to post a lot of educational content on cannabis, the industry, or how we're doing what we're doing. One of the things I noticed when I first got into the industry and I looked up to these big brands like these Madman's cookies or whatever, there was no blueprint. They never told you who they used for packaging, who their transporter was, when they made this mistake and how did they fix it. So I wanted to be that type of leader. Latoya and I wanted to be those type of executives that were not like that, because there's nothing to hide. There's enough weed out here for everybody to make money. There's enough jobs out here for everybody to be successful, and enough opportunities. So we're not stingy with the information. So a lot of the things we post on our Instagram page especially are just about our journey. Hey, today we got our final certificate of approval. Today we finally got our final packaging. Today we finally secured our land for our community program. And this is what we did. And this is how we did it. And this is how long it took. So that's a lot of things we post. I think one day I want to develop like a docuseries to really kind of document building a state-of-the-art commercial cultivation facility as a woman. Yeah. Talking all this construction talk, talking to all these architects and GCs and plumbers and electricians, all these guys, really.
And getting respect from them. It can be hard in those those like circles as a woman.
Yes. So we just share a lot of tips and best practices that have helped us. So yeah, just really excited to connect with people, because a lot of times you don't get to connect with brands, even outside of the cannabis, Pepsi, Coke. Do you really get an opportunity to connect with executives from them? No. But we always wanted to be this brand, no matter how big we get, that if you want to connect with us, you can. We want to be seen as very personable and very relatable. Like, if they can do it, I can do it too. And that's what we really believe. It's enough out here for everybody.
That's a beautiful thing, Rebecca. I love to hear it. Well, I appreciate you spending time with me so much today. As we've noticed in the last hour, you're a very busy person. And I want to thank all of you for tuning into the latest episode of The Fresh Cut from Ganjapreneur. I'm Cara Wietstock, culture editor for the publication, and you can keep up with us on Instagram, Facebook, all your socials, and log into YouTube to check out the latest episodes. Have a great day today.